Well, good morning, everyone. It's a beautiful Monday morning, August 23rd, 2021. We get together most weekday mornings with our distribution partners at this time, a minute or so before 8 o'clock Central, to talk about tips, techniques, strategies, updates, and to support you. Last week, we had several important trainings, which also included the announcement of new enhanced support for our white label partners. But today we're going to go through a topic that we've received quite a few questions on. So kind of big picture, it's free and easy to be a white label partner. And if you'd like to do that, we encourage you to do so. If you're a white label partner, then we need to decide where are the leads going to come from. And there's a number of different strategies. One of our favorite ways is through education, through teaching, by helping small business owners, whether they be pre-launch, startup, or existing, learn more about what it takes to be able to access capital. So we've covered that pretty diligently and went through that in last week's training. You'll find more information about that on the iimfl.org website on the white label page. But specifically for today, we wanted to address some of the questions. I don't want to say so much concerns, but the questions that several of you have had is, say, when you said, well, great, I'll go out and teach, and maybe I charge the attendees to teach, or maybe not, but how do I convert those people that I've taught into a client relationship in which that you can monetize? And so I wanted to explain that in more detail today, and of course, answer questions. So we've got a split screen going here. On the left-hand side is the agenda for today's topic, and the right-hand side is the fundingproposal.online site. And I'll help you make sense of this in just a second. So our topic specifically is, how do we engage our educational clients into funding? Well, we know that using education is a great way to generate leads. It's not the only way, but it is a very effective way, and certainly my preference. And we did explain you can become a white label partner free and easy, and then you can become, if you want to teach, you can become a financial literacy educator, and with that you get exclusivity for a given county. But I don't want to go back and revisit that. There's training on all of that we've already done that's on the white label page. But let's say that you're teaching the access to capital curriculum, and we've gone through that outline and what that includes. We've explained that you can teach this in person or online. We've explained that there's enough curriculum to teach a full day, or you can consolidate it down into a 30-minute presentation. We've covered that, but I just wanted to make sure we're all on the same page. What maybe I didn't make clear to those of you that have not yet become a white label partner or have decided to teach as a financial literacy educator, and again, there's no cost to be a financial literacy educator. But the point I'm making here is, we register the students, the attendees, the participants that are going through the educational curriculum. And that's important because we want to know whom we've educated, and that is a lead pool, isn't it? So regardless if you have just taught them a quick online 30-minute version, 1 hour, half day, full day, these people are registered, and we teach you how we register them and how all that works when you go through the certification training. But what you need to know is that if they're going to go through the educational curriculum, they register for that. You choose if there's a fee that you want to charge them or not to go through the education. That's completely up to you. But they're in the CRM, they're in the database. So as we go through this, you might be saying, well, wait, how do I get credit? You know, if I had 20 people that I taught this past Saturday and they go through this process, how do I get credit? Well, they're in the database. We're tracking who goes through the education, and so then you're credited with their enrollment downstream. Okay, so let's dig in a little deeper here. So once you've educated them Of course, what we want to do is help them implement what they've learned. So teaching is great, but it's about implementing or executing what they've learned so they can see the benefits of it. And so you can monetize or further monetize that relationship. The way that we go about doing that, so let's just make it clear. So let's say that you taught a class on Saturday, and we'll just make it real simple. It was a 1-hour class at the library on access to capital, 1 hour. And so now what do we do with them afterwards? Do we try to go sell them on something? Do we go try to pitch them on something? What happens next? Well, here is the protocol of what happens next. What we do is we ask them if they would like to go ahead and obtain a funding proposal. There's a few key terms that we found to be very successful, including the fact that getting financing to start or grow a business shouldn't be difficult. And you'll see that same terminology right here on this landing page, which is where we're going to take the prospects. Secondly, we clarify that in less than 5 minutes, we can help them complete a 1-page application to get funding offers. And then thirdly, we clarify that there are guaranteed approval financing options that are available, so no one will be turned down regardless of credit, income, or time in business. And that's a factual statement. So what you're going to do is help them fill out this form here. So on fundingproposal.online, and you don't need to have your own version of this. You don't need to replicate this. You don't need to put any work, time, or effort. This exists. So what's on this page is we clarify that it's a 3-step process. The first step is really just getting them familiar that there are different types of financing, and we can walk through those. What you and I know is different types of financing have different underwriting criteria. So we're not here to say that just because they went through your class that now all of a sudden they can get any type of financing they want. That's unrealistic. That's too good to be true. What we need to do is find out what they do qualify for, and we're giving them we're kind of letting them look at the menu of what is on the menu, what are types of funding that they might qualify for. They might qualify for term loans, revolving accounts, credit lines, lines of credit, EIN only financing that doesn't use a social security number, what we'll call business credit, SBA or non-SBA loans. We have the really popular credit builder loan, which is guaranteed approval up to $20,000, no credit check, no verification of income. That, of course, reports to all 3 bureaus. So it's a great credit building instrument. There's the Chapman Fund. You've heard us talk a fair amount. This is tax supported, so this doesn't even come through a bank. So I'm not saying that there's not any underwriting, because there is, but it's certainly simplified underwriting, and that's from 30 to 250,000. If they don't want debt that they have to pay back, we can always work on an equity-based capital raise and other options. So step 1 of the 3, so we get 3 steps. Step 1 of the 3 is just answering the inevitable question of, well, what type of funding is there? Well, there's all types of funding, but we need to see what you qualify for. So that's where we get to step 2. What we want to do is help them request a free funding proposal. And it doesn't get any simpler than this. They put in their name, email, and phone. And if they want to put in how much capital they're requesting, they can put it in. It's not even required. They hit submit, and I'll tell you in a minute what happens afterwards, but let's just continue on this page, and I'll get back over to the agenda. Step 3, as stated here on fundingproposal.online, is that we're going to have to send them an application. And so the application is necessary for us to gather enough data about them to be able to put together a funding proposal. So this is not the application. Of course, this would be too good to be true to think we could just take 3 pieces of information and say, oh, you qualify for 25,000 or 125,000. But it's a simple 1-page application. So going back over to the left. So we have staff, we've hired full-time staff to manage this process for you. So it's simple, you don't have to do it. Once you've educated or generated the lead, if you will, and once you've sent them over here, and I'm going to talk about real world application of this in a minute, but once you sent them over here, then our staff will pick that up and we will send them an Adobe packet. So Adobe's nice. It's kind of like DocuSign. It's secure. It's not free, but we pay for it. So they're going to receive an Adobe packet that's going to have a little flyer that just summarizes, what we're doing here, and then the simple one-page application. And I can show you the packet if you want, but it's pretty basic. So the first page of the Adobe packet just reiterates what we're doing here. So there's consistency of, oh yeah, I filled this out, so I realize why I got this little Adobe packet, and then a simple one-page application. The top, and it looks just like the application that, or very, very similar to the application that we've used for first tranche financing. So the top part of the page asks information about their business. But if their business is pre-formation or they don't have any of that data, it's fine. They can skip that. And then it takes to the bottom half information about one of the key persons. Our staff will, again, send them that packet, so you're not responsible or burdened with that. And then our staff will follow up with them to encourage them to complete it. Now, we can't make them do it, but if they're looking for funding, which most likely are, you've built a relationship with them already by teaching them the curriculum, you've already connected with them, then it's going to be pretty simple for them to want to say, well, yeah, let me see what I get approved for. So we're going to carry the legwork to keep it real simple for you. Those who complete the application, which is again sent via Adobe, and I'll go ahead and pull that up in a second just so you see it. I want you to understand the full picture. Then they become your client. So you'll notice on here, like nowhere does it say, well, who referred? And so you might be worried, well, how am I not going to lose these people? Because it's not saying my name anywhere on here. It doesn't need to be. They're already in the system, right? As long as they've gone through the educational curriculum, we've already registered them. They're already in the system. And we'll show you how that works when you go through the in-person or online training to be a financial literacy educator. That prospect is already yours. So we don't need to keep asking them, well, who referred you? They're your prospect. So what's in it for you? So separate from whatever you've done with the education and if you charged or didn't charge, but now they're your white label client. And I think most of you are familiar with the income that you generate. But let's reiterate. Normally, you'll charge a $2,500 deposit. Of course, we do not collect that until after their first capital raise, but that should happen within the first week, for 7 to 10 days. And so there's money up front in your pocket. You determine how much the deposit is as a white label partner, but $2,500 is the norm. And then you'll earn off of the performance fee off the client's capital raise. I don't know what you're going to charge. Most people charge 10%. 10% of 100,000 is where the 10,000 comes from. But again, if you want to charge less or more, you can. And then if you are life insurance licensed or working with someone who is and writing the key person policy, then you got about another 1,000. So theoretically, you're generating around $13,500 for each client that you've educated that fills out the proposal that moves forward in the process. So it's not get rich quick. It's not going to change your life like winning the lottery. But if you taught a class of 20 people, we would anticipate nearly all 20, maybe not all 20, but nearly all 20 should say, yeah, I do want a free funding proposal. And from that, if you take 20 times these numbers, I mean, it's a good month. It's not going to change your life, but it's a good month. So what I want to do is get the questions, comments, concerns that you all have. And I'm going to go ahead and bring up for you that packet that is sent out so you see it. So let me stop the share for a second. Let me get that packet pulled up. And then what I'd like to do is to see what questions, comments, concerns that any of you have while I'm pulling this up. So go ahead and type your questions, comments, concerns into the question and answer box. It's like a chat box. And I'm going to pull up here the packet that is sent out, just so we're all crystal clear in what they're getting. So give me just a second here. I'm pulling that up. And let me share again. Okay. So the agenda here is the same. What I've changed, and this is an executed test run that we did. So this is literally the packet they get. So once they filled out that simple form on fundingproposal.online, our staff, not your burden, our staff will send them this Adobe packet. And again, you're going to get credit. This is your lead. This is your client. This is your prospect, because they are already in the system, because they came through your educational activities. So what's going to be sent to them, this is an actual executed copy after they've completed it, but it'll show you what they've seen, because you can see it's already certified. But what they're going to get is the first page, which is going to be a summary of why they would want to get a funding proposal. This looks real similar to the first tranche financing flyer that you've seen before. We clarify at the top, everyone gets approved. And again, that doesn't mean that everyone gets approved for every type of financing. That's unrealistic. But everyone can get approved for some type of financing. And we can certainly go all the way up to $20,000 without a credit check, without a verification of income for the credit builder loans. Okay, so this is page one that they'll receive from the Adobe packet that our staff will send after you've taught someone as a financial literacy educator and drop them into the funding proposal online form, just name, email, phone. Okay, so they get this. And then the second page is the application. This, we did a test run. So of course it has editable fields. This is the final report, if you will, but when they receive it, it has editable fields in Adobe, so it's real easy to use, where they can put in their business information if they have it. If there's any parts that they don't have, it's fine. It doesn't require them to have it. And then it gets to the key person information. And so I just put in test for the test, of course, but they would put in their information. They submit that, comes back to us, and then we will be able to issue funding proposals for them typically within 24 hours. And how much they'll receive will be, their funding proposal amount will be based upon their circumstances. We do know that we can get anyone at least $20,000 through the credit builder, but we'll see what they qualify for. Okay, so what I want to do is really dig into the questions, comments, concerns that any of you have. So the big picture is, if you want to educate as a way to generate clients, that is great. You could charge for that education, or you could do that education for free. Regardless, after you've educated them, we want to offer them the next step. And the next step is a very soft step. It's to say, well, you know, I'm glad that you attended the workshop today. I know sometimes it doesn't seem like it, but getting financing to start or grow a business doesn't have to be difficult. And in fact, in less than 5 minutes, we've got a real simple one-page application, and see what kind of funding you qualify for. What's awesome is that there's guaranteed approval financing options that are available, so no one is turned down regardless of credit, income, or time in business. And so then what you would do is help them fill out that simple online form, which had just name, email, and phone. That comes into us. Our staff will send them the packet. You're looking at a sample executed packet. And so then if they don't fill this out, it'll remind them daily, Our staff will follow up with them to answer questions. So what we're trying to do is remove some of the burden from you and help you have more conversions. So with that being said, let's start fielding your questions. Brian has the first question, but I'd really love feedback from each of you in understanding, confirming your understanding of what happens after you educate someone, how we move them from an educational relationship into a client relationship. All right, so Brian asked, does the deferred refundable deposit paid from the guaranteed funding of $20,000 or funding after that? Well, so if they're going to go into the Access to Capital program, there's no upfront cost for the client, no upfront cost. It is paid out of their first tranche of financing. Where and how much their first tranche of financing is, where it comes from, will vary based upon an individual's qualifications, but we know that we can get all clients financing within 7 to 10 days, regardless of credit, income, or time in business. So I'm not sure if I completely understood your question, Brian, but there's no upfront cost for the client. Okay, who else has questions regarding how we're going to convert our education clients into the funding process? Because what we're going to do is help them get a funding proposal, and that funding proposal is going to provide them access to their first tranche of financing. Notice here, we're not using the term first tranche financing. That means something to us, and it probably means something to you, but that means nothing to the average person. It's like, what does that mean? So instead, what we're going to say is, hey, let's get you a funding proposal. No cost to get this. Let's just simply spend just a couple minutes and let's see what you qualify for. And again, don't worry, no one is turned down due to credit, income, or time in business. Okay, so who else has questions on this concept, this process? Again, as you go through the training to be a financial literacy educator, we dig deeper into this, but I wanted to bring this to all of you, even though some of you don't want to teach, just so you understand the process and how it works. It's pretty slick. Okay, so what Scott's asking is an interesting question. What if he wants to submit someone here, but they've not really gone through a class? Well, if they've attended one of your classes, Scott, whether it be in person or online, short or long version, it doesn't matter, then they've registered. And so we know who they are and they're attached to you. If you just took someone right to this and they're not already in our system, then we don't know that they're attached to you. And so then that's a problem. So this was designed, this funding proposal concept was designed to be a follow through after you've educated them. And again, you can make the education as brief as you want. So what I would say is, Scott, I don't think that you're one of our financial literacy educators. If this process makes sense to you, this is something that you want to leverage so we can help you, frankly, close more deals, because we're going to close them for you. You won't have to sell anybody on anything. And maybe I didn't make that clear enough. If you've educated them, then they will be registered in the CRM. You'll just simply ask them, use a couple of these terms, help them fill out this simple request form for a funding proposal, and our team will close your prospects. And I guess I didn't make that clear enough. We will close your prospects by going through this funding proposal process. So for those of you that don't really like selling or closing or wrapping up the client, you just want to teach, this is beautiful, right? Because now we've got the closing taken care of you and you get full credit, right? You're not losing anything. But the only way that we're going to close leads for you is by going through this process. Thank you, Scott, for asking. Okay, so who has questions, comments, concerns over this? Because this is a pretty big deal, right? We're going to close people for you. You educate them and feed them in ever so easily on fundingproposal.online. But you know, they really need to say, yes, I want a funding proposal, because what's going to happen is our staff's going to send them this packet, right? And if they just get this packet out of the blue, even though we'll call them and it's going to automatically follow up with them systematically on a daily basis, now it seems kind of like a solicitation, and that's not the relationship we want to have. Instead, it's they said, yes, yes, Alex, yes, Anna Marie, yes, April, yes, Barry, yes, Beatrice, Ben, Bernard, Brian, Bruce, Charles, Georges, John, Joseph, Judy, so forth. They're saying, yes, I want to get a funding proposal. And so then you're letting them know, okay, well, great. Let's fill out this simple form here on fundingproposal.online. And then you're going to receive pretty quickly a one-page application via Adobe from our support team. And so then what they receive literally looks like this. This is page 1. So it reiterates the reason that they're doing this. And then step 2 is it actually collects the information that we need to generate a proposal. Timothy's asking, and yes, so you're going to be copied on that Adobe. So yes, you'll be copied on the outbound Adobe, so you know that it's been sent out. Maggie asked that the education can be done online, and the answer is absolutely, no, online. And quite frankly, Maggie, we thought there would be more in-person training than online as we were moving through the calendar year. But now with the Delta variant, I'm rethinking. I bet you the majority of the training now will be online again. I don't know that a lot of areas are as receptive to in-person as would have been maybe 30 days ago. But it's up to you. You can teach it in person or online. Thank you, Maggie, for that. Let's see. Okay, Pauline's asking about the train the trainer. So there's no cost to be a white label partner, and there's no cost to be a financial literacy educator. We've covered that. We do need you to go through the train the trainer curriculum, so you are teaching the same material in general the same way that the rest of us are. So there's consistency. So the train the trainer training was offered in person. The last in-person class is this Friday, and we have a few seats remaining. So if you want to come in person, you can. However, now we offer it online, and we've recently talked about that. And so the online is on demand. It's not like a projection of us in the room this Friday. So the online training is on demand, on your own schedule, versus the in-person, which is 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. this Friday, August 27th. Thank you, Pauline, for that question. Okay, so what's your feedback? I'm interested, kind of a thumbs up, thumbs down. So what is, and you're not gonna hurt my feelings, and we'll keep it confidential. No one's gonna know what you respond, but I would like each of you to take a moment and respond in the Q&A there. It's like a chat function of Zoom. What are your thoughts about how we've simply made it to be able to help convert your education leads by simply using a little bit of scripting, don't use these words exactly, and helping them complete this page? So Georgia says, great concept, takes a lot off of your plate. I would agree. Mark says, fantastic. And again, I'm not just looking for compliments. I appreciate those two nice comments. But if it doesn't seem right, it doesn't make sense, if it's confusing, that's okay. Again, let me just state it at a simplified process. So if you want to teach, you can teach. And if you want to teach, you can teach in person or online. If you want to charge for the teaching or do it for free, it doesn't matter. It's up to you. You're in control of that. But once you have taught them, Well, once they register for your in-person or online class, they're in our CRM. They're attached to you. So you don't have to worry about not getting paid, not being credited downstream. With that, once you've taught them whatever you're going to teach them, then you're going to use this scripting or something similar to it to help them fill out that remarkably simple form. And I showed it to you a moment ago, right? What was on it? Name, email, phone. That was it. Name, email, phone. That was it. Name, email, phone. From that point, we've hired staff that's going to pick it up and run with it. Our staff will send them the Adobe packet that has this flyer. This is the Adobe packet. This is an executed version. It's going to come to them saying funding proposal, -- guaranteed approvals. And so it's going to look like this. It's going to ask them the initial here. That's my initial TM because I did it on the practice run, but they're going to get this. And they're going to get page 2 that has the application, and there'll be fields here you can't see, but like test had an opening for me to type my first name. I didn't type it. I just typed in test and so forth. And so once that comes back, then we can put their data in the system and be able to calculate funding offers for them. And we've been talking recently a lot on our trainings about how well this first tranche financing process has worked. This has a lot of similarities to that, but we're taking away that jargon because a lot of people don't know what the heck first tranche financing means. So here we ease them into it. Okay, so let's go through the feedback and see if there's any other questions. Maggie says she likes the process. Thank you. And so, you know, what Jim is saying is true. You know, this is predicated off of you teaching someone. And that's what we're talking about today. That's our topic, is if you want to teach someone, we'll provide you the curriculum. You can teach them in person or online. You can teach them a little session or a long session. This is what happens after you've taught them. So you're right, Jim. This is the follow-up to education. Maybe this will cause more of you to want to educate in person or online, short or long, to be able to take advantage of this process. But that's up to you. All right, get a thumbs up from Anna Marie. Yeah, Ron asked, are they automatically signing up for access to capital? Okay, so let's go back to that. Ron picked up on a good point. So when they get the Adobe packet, which is called funding proposal, which our staff will send once you have put them into the online or they filled that. So there's there's the flyer, the one-page application, and then that's exactly right. They're actually agreeing to the terms and conditions, which are all stated out in writing. It's exactly right, Ron. So they will have enrolled through that process. So the conversion for you is automatic. All you're needing to do is to feed them in here, and then the rest takes care of itself as far as getting them signed up. And then you're getting the full comp model. We're helping you close deals through education. So John's asking a good question, and it's my fault, not his. He's saying, well, wait a second. It doesn't say referred by. How do we know? Because we have a registration process. Everyone that you're teaching the access to capital, these folks will have been registered and they're in the CRM. You're not familiar with that probably because you haven't gone through the training yet. But these people already in the CRM, already attached to you. So we don't need to keep asking them, did you come from John? Did you come from John? Or who did you come from? We know that they came from you because they're in the CRM, they're in the system back at the education stage. That's the key. Because you don't want to just offer, hey, I'm going to do a class, just walk in, don't sign up, don't register, I don't know who you are, I can't follow up with you. Of course, we don't do that. If we're going to have a class, whether it be in person or online, people need to register. Even if they show up at the time of the event, they need to register. So you know who has registered for your classes. And as long as you know their name and email and phone, then that is in our CRM. And so we can match that, preferably, by the way, matching by email address. So thank you, John. That was my fault for not clarifying that enough. Well, and Brian's bringing up this maybe is an easier process than what he's doing now. It may be. It's assuming that you're willing to teach them in person or online the access to capital curriculum. So I know some of you are just doing mass marketing online, not really wanting to teach, and so this may not fit. But for many of us, education is a great way to build a funnel. Pauline says she feels like this will help tremendously. I do too. I think this is going to be a slam dunk, because after they've learned something from you, why wouldn't they want to find out what type of funding that they qualify for? And when they know that no one is turned down due to credit, income, or time in business, it's like, why should give it a try? All they're doing is submitting name, email, and phone on this simple one page, the landing page, which I showed you a moment ago. And then from there, we'll get them this. And this is what they were expecting, right? They were expecting a funding proposal. They were expecting that everyone gets approved. So here, we're not asking them to do anything new. We're just restating the value proposition. And then here is what they need to fill out. And if they don't fill this out, the system will remind them once a day. Our staff will reach out to them, not pressuring them, but hey, did you have questions? You asked for a funding proposal, but you have not completed it. We'll be able to look to see, did they start it or not? Have they opened it or not? Maybe it's gone into their spam and they've never seen it, but our staff will follow up with them. But by completing that, there's the signature form, and they're saying, yeah, I do want funding offers, and I do agree to the terms and conditions. And the terms and conditions allows them to go ahead and move into the access to capital program. And now they're your white label client. Just simplifies a lot. Okay, so Pauline was complimentary, thank you. And again, it's okay if you have some not so nice words. If you feel, we worked, forgive the words, balls to the walls pretty much all weekend getting this ready for you. So there's a lot of time and effort being put in to help you be more successful, to help you help more clients, to help you make more money. But we're not perfect. So if you would have done it differently, your constructive criticism is welcome as well. Marcel says, I believe you're giving a lot of people a chance to feel comfortable with the process. And we're essentially eliminating what you need to do on the front end other than just teach them. And you can teach them as little or as much as you want. But yes, we'll take care of the conversion for you. We'll get them to be your client, and you don't have to. And you don't have to spend money for that to happen. Mr. Jackson says education is key. I agree. Maggie brings up a great point, and she made a compliment. I'll leave that off record, but she's bringing up a good point. So we're going back to the education, and I'm going to extrapolate on what I hear Maggie saying. And she's saying, well, if she can generate the lead, what if, in fact, we could do a better job educating the prospect than what she could, which I'm not saying is the case. How could she simplify that? Well, that's a great point, and we'll continue to look at what we could do to maybe try to automate even this part for you. So Maggie, you bring up a good point. We'll work on that and get back with you. But at this point in time, you become a white label partner, free and easy. If you want to teach, you become a financial literacy educator. There's no charge for that. You need to go through the train the trainer, which is in person one last time or online. Then you can use the access to capital curriculum, teach it in person or online, short presentation or full day. And then as long as they've registered for your training, then we know who they are and they're attached to you. And then all you need to do is just get them right here. Get them right here. All right, so we ran long, which seems to be my standard. I apologize, but let's just summarize one more time. We want to help you help more clients. We believe that one of the best ways, not the only way, but one of the best ways is to lead through education. We have a great curriculum that we affectionately call Access to Capital. We've gone through that training and went through it last week, and you'll see information about it on the white label page of the iimfl.org website. As long as you're willing to teach in person or online, brief or long, we have a process where these folks will be registered for the education. So we know who they are. And because of that, they're in the CRM attached to you. And then after the education, whether it be in person, online, whether it be short or brief, or long or brief, then you can use just some of the simple scripting, which is consistent with the flyer, which is consistent with the landing page. But essentially, all you need to do is get them to this landing page. Now, I know there might be a temptation to say, well, let me circumvent this. What if I just went and dropped a bunch of people's names, emails, and phones on this landing page? Well, I guess that would work to a certain extent, because we're going to pick them up and our staff is going to send them a funding proposal packet, this in Adobe. This will go out to them, and we will reach out to them and help them complete it if they need help completing, which does result in a client enrollment. So that will happen, but you've circumvented the system a little bit, because now when they receive this, it could seem like a solicitation or spam. That's not the way this is designed. We want them to request a funding proposal. It's very important psychologically that they're saying, yes, I want to see what kind of funding I can get. Yes, I'm intrigued by this because I realize that I can't be turned down based on credit, income, or time in business. So when they're asking for it and then we deliver this, there's a high level of engagement and participation. What we've seen is if you just dropped 100 names in here and they're not expecting this, that doesn't get us started off on the right foot. Now it just seems like we're trying to sell them things and recruit them into things versus, okay, you wanted a funding proposal. Here's a summary of that value proposition. Here's a simple one-page app. So it's important conceptually to understand that we want the client to request the funding proposal and to expect it. Then much better things will happen than just dropping 1,000 names in. I know a lot of you are smart enough, you could just go drop 100 names in today into this, but the conversion rate is going to be much lower, and the trust and the comfort in the client is going to be much lower, because they feel like that we're just soliciting them versus them saying, oh yeah, I would like to find out how much funding I can get to start or grow a business. You see that subtle difference? Now, the truth is we won't know the difference. If they come through this portal, we don't know how well they know you or how much they've been taught or how engaged they are. The truth is the process will be the same, but I can't convince strongly enough that if the client is in their mind requesting a funding proposal, we'll have much better success with that client than them just getting this out of the blue. You see the point? We want the client to request it. Well, how would the client request it? Because they know about it, because you've educated them. How do you educate them? As a financial literacy educator. All right, so with that, we've probably beat this dead horse enough. So what are your action steps? If you're not a white label partner, we encourage you to become one, free and easy. White label partner on iimfl.org. If you are a white label partner, you got to decide, do you want to teach our curriculum? It's up to you. But if you want to teach it, you need to let us know. We will get you certified. Get certified in person or online. Then we're obviously going to train you, and this is part of that training, an excerpt of that training. Then you're going to have this resource available, and essentially our team is going to take care of closing deals for you. And it's going to make you should make you a lot of money as long as you follow the process. All right, thanks everyone. We'll see you back tomorrow morning. Have a great day. Thanks. Bye.